Hey y'all, welcome to TXT Tells Alla. Welcome back if you're one of our subscribers. So today is the day. Today is the day, at least for right now, right? So if you guys have been watching our channel, you know we do student loan videos all the time. I have a bunch of student loans. I've talked about it before. So we are on here today to talk about what President Biden announced today about the student loan pause, about the plan for student loans moving forward. So if you're watching this and you're like me with a bunch of student loans and you took advantage of the pause, but now you were trying to figure out, is August 31st going to be the end or what's going to happen? Stay tuned because we're going to talk about all of it. Biden definitely made some pretty big announcements today. Now, if you've been following in the news like I have, you know that there have been, information over the past couple of weeks leading up to today about what's going to happen. But today was the day, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about what's going to happen. I'm gonna give people a few more minutes to join in. Cosmic Jerry, hey, thank you for joining us. Hey, Judy, Asian American Legal Focus, thanks for joining us. Yes, this is big news, so let's get into it. How's everybody's day going today? I hope you had a good day. It is Wednesday. It is hump day. But this is good news for us that are out here working and worried, because that's the reality, right? People, had hard financial times during the COVID-19 pandemic, and this pause that has been going on for almost 2 years now, or it's a little over 2 years since the pandemic started in 2020, have really taken advantage of this, and it's been a lifesaver for people who were struggling to begin with to make student loan payments and may have lost jobs and had different other financial circumstances through the pandemic and really, really, really needed this. So, what is it? Let's start with the $10,000, because if you've been on Instagram or social media or any of the social media outlets today, I'm sure you've seen the memes already developing around this $10,000. So the first part of Biden's plan to give some relief to former students and students with student loan debt is to cancel $10,000 of federal student loan debt, so not private loans. If you've seen some of our other videos, I have both federal and private loans. My private loans are serviced by Navient. My federal loans are serviced by Nelnet. My Navient loans, this has nothing to do with them. So if any of y'all have Navient private loans, I was paying on those through the pause. So this doesn't have anything to do with this. But the $10,000 that is being canceled is for federal student loans if you make $125,000 or less if you're single, and $250,000 if you are married and you file jointly, or you're married and you file as head of household. So it does not just go $10,000 cut canceled for everyone. There are income restrictions. And how do y'all feel about that? So if it's your first time joining us, you know that both me and Larita are attorneys, and some of these income restrictions might count out some people who have considerable student loan debt and make over $125,000 a year, or over $250,000 if they're married. Those people are not going to get that $10,000 relief. But honestly, for those people, and we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later, but is $10,000 being canceled really, really going to help somebody that might have high level degrees, making a lot of money, but also has a lot of debt? $10,000 might not even put a dent in it. We'll talk about it. Let's get into it. I want to shout some people out that are now joining in. Responsible Me, hello all. Hi, thanks for joining us. We'll get to some of the questions later. Let's see what she says about 10K for those without Pell and 20K for those who received the Pell Grant. Yes, I was going to get to that. Yes, she's absolutely right. It is 20,000 for those who received the Pell Grant. So a little bit more for people who received the Pell Grant. For those of you who don't know, what is a Pell Grant? It's a grant that can be received by a student pursuing a college education in exceptional financial circumstances. So their income requirements. A lot of us, when we started college, our parents might have been still claiming us as dependents on their taxes. So we may have received Pell Grants based on the income of our parents at that time. If your income was at a certain level, you could receive Pell Grants. So it does give some relief to people who might have a lower income and receive these Pell Grants. Great news. What about Parent Plus loans? We'll talk about, let's get into it. If Parent Plus loans are federal and they're held by the federal government, I think those qualify as well, but I don't want to give wrong information. But all federal student loans are, and you make less than this 125 or 250 if you're married, are supposedly going to qualify. I haven't seen any information specifically breaking down the different types of loans, other than if it's a federal student loan, it's going to qualify for this 10,000 or 20,000 if you have a Pell Grant, if you receive the Pell Grant, and you meet the income requirements. So, I mean, it is good news. Before I get to my own personal situation, I don't want to discount, is money, right? They're canceling this. So we borrowed it, they're canceling it. They're at least recognizing that people are drowning in student loan debt, and we need some type of relief. I know people who have like $12,000 to $15,000 in student loans left. So a $10,000 cancellation is a big deal for them. They're going to be able to kiss their student loans goodbye. So that's a big deal. Now for me, I'm gonna just be honest with y'all. I have six-figure debt. I had a scholarship for undergrad, but I paid for law school, and I have six-figure debt from law school and a little bit from undergrad, right? $10,000 for me. I'm just gonna be real with y'all. I'm the person in the meme. Like, the $10,000 is not really going to put a dent in the amount of student loans that I have, unfortunately. But that's why we're going to get into some of the other benefits of this plan that Biden announced today, because it's not just that. It's not just the $10,000 or $20,000 forgiveness. So some of the other things that are happening, big thing for me, one of the big things for me is that the student loan pause is not ending August 31st of 2022. Biden said today that this is the last final pause that's going to end on December 31st of 2022. So you'll have to start paying in January. He's now, I think he's serious this time. He said this is the last and final pause. But that's a good thing, because it does give people some relief. Now, I did a video a few weeks ago, or a live with you guys a few weeks ago, on whether or not we were kind of talking about, are they going to extend the pause or not? Since it was creeping so close to August 31st, I was pretty sure that they were going to extend it, because letting people know they have payments due, a week before they're due, that wasn't going to fly. People were going to be mad. People were going to be in some serious situations, and those phone lines for Nelnet or whoever your servicer is were going to be ringing off the hook. So I knew they would have to provide some, type of relief with the pause. So yes, there is going to be an extension of the pause. So for people who don't qualify, for this $10,000 cancellation, or not qualify, but for people who have more debt than the $10,000 cancellation, and they're scared about having to restart payments that they can't afford, you can rest easy at least through the holidays, through the rest of the year, because you will not be paying. Responsible Me says thank you and congrats to you all also. Yep, congrats to people who, this is a big deal. Like I said, I know people who $10,000 is knocking out most of their student loans. So for those people, I'm really happy for them. And also for the rest of us who have to keep paying our student loans, the pause is not ending. It's not ending, y'all. So all this that we've been talking about over the past few months, they're pushing it out to the end of the year. So I'm grateful for that, definitely. Now, let's backtrack a little bit with the pause. How do you get the relief that Biden is talking about? How is it? Is it just going to be automatic? You're going to go log on to let's just say log on to Nelnet, and you're going to see $10,000 knocked off? Not exactly. He didn't give too much detail, and I think they're still trying to figure this part out. But he did say that there is going to be a very simple and short application form that in the next coming weeks. So basically, just keep your eye out. I would just keep looking at your emails, because you will receive notices from your student loan servicer. You will receive information, and of course, stay tuned to TXT Tells All, because we'll put new information up as it develops. But From what I understand, there will be from what Biden said today, there will be a short, simple form, and he stressed that it will be a short, simple form that you will need to fill out to get the relief that you're talking about if you qualify for the $10,000 or the $20,000 cancellation. I did read some articles that said if you had submitted, basically recertified, like if you're on an income-driven repayment program and you're recertifying, you submitted your income information for the year to your loan servicer, that there might be some type of automatic consideration, but I wouldn't trust that. I think everything is so new. The news came out today and information is still developing. So I would definitely, based on what President Biden said, I would definitely keep an eye out for some type of application or form that you're going to need to submit, and make sure you have that in so that if you do qualify for this cancellation, you get whatever documentation they need in. So there's that. Now, next part of this plan, and I think the White House described it as a 3-part plan. The next part of it is for the rest of us that $10,000 is nice, but it's not going to cancel it out. They are making changes to the income-driven repayment program. So you guys know there's a few different ones. There's the Pay, P-A-Y-E. There's the Repay, E-Y, P-A-Y-E. So it's like kind of alphabet soup, all these different income-driven repayment programs, meaning you pay your student loans based on your discretionary income each month. That's how they calculate how much you have to pay, and you pay. Usually, most of the income-driven repayment plans say that you have to make your payments for 20 years, and then at the end of that 20 years, what's remaining will be forgiven, although it is taxable, but that what's remaining will be forgiven. Now, before, it used to be that it would be like 10 to 15% of your discretionary income. Biden's plan wants to knock that down to 5%. So that's what we're expected to see in the coming weeks. Some more details about that. Knocking down your income-driven repayment plan to 5% of your monthly discretionary income. So, and now I did see that this was for undergraduate student loans. I have to look and see some clarification about if it includes graduate and undergraduate, because I know for me, the bulk of my loans are from graduate. My graduate degree, my law degree. So for this 5% of your discretionary income, as opposed to 10 to 15%, I would really need it to be for my graduate student loans, because my undergrad is really not that much. So, they are trying to do things to help us. I don't think this is going to be the last of kind of a revamp of the student loan process, student loan repayments. I don't think this is going to be the last cancellation, honestly, because I think even though this was a good move, I know I read in Biden's press release that he was saying, we're trying to give some relief to low to middle class workers, give people the opportunity to have, some more financial security to buy homes, to pay their bills, to start a family. And I was like, in the grand scheme of things, $10,000 forgiveness for a lot of people that make under $125,000 a year is not going to be enough, because they're still going to be paying these student loans, and it still takes a big chunk of your income each month, which is a struggle, I think, which is why obviously they're paying attention to it. Responsible Me said not taxable for federal workers. Yes, I think you were referring to when I mentioned the income-driven repayment plan, and once you pay for 20 years or whatever your plan indicates you have to pay for, the whatever's left over is knocked out, canceled, but you have to pay taxes on that amount, not for federal workers. And she's right on that. But for me, I work in the private sector, so any of my loans that are left after the income-driven repayment plan is over, after I've paid for 20 years, I'm going to have to pay taxes on that forgiven amount. But so another thing that was really important that I read in the White House fact sheet about this new plan is that nobody that makes 225% of the poverty level will have to make a payment. So basically, people who make like around $15 an hour will not have to make student loan payments at all. So the way that they calculate, if they're on an income driven repayment plan, so the way that they calculate um, how much you should pay each month for people who make around $15 an hour, the calculation will bring them to a zero payment. So they will get credit for zero payments, which is really helpful for somebody trying to make a living, trying to take care of their kids, family that make around $15 an hour, will not have to make a payment at all. So that is a good thing. Let me see some of the comments here. When does this take in effect? Is it automatic or do we need to fill out additional paperwork? So the news just came out today, and I think they're still trying to hash out how it's going to work. What Biden said today was in the coming weeks, we are going to get information about a short, simple application form that you're going to have to fill out in order to process this relief. So answer to your question is, when does it take effect? They didn't say exactly. They said as far as the cancellation of the $10,000 and the or $20,000 if you receive the Pell Grant, they will give us more information in the coming weeks of how we need to apply for that. So just keep an eye out for it, and we'll definitely do update videos, even if it's a short video, just to say, hey, the application came out today. Make sure you go online and get it. I would stay in touch with your servicer if you have more questions. So I know for me, Nelnet usually posts at the top of the website new developments or announcements. So I usually just log on every now and again to see, and then I keep an eye on your email, because I know with Nelnet they usually send emails out too. But from what they said today, you will still have to apply, do at least a short application form. But the Department of Education said they're still trying to hash out the details on that. Yeah. So, I thought this was a good example, and I'm a visual person, but I like concrete examples. So what does it mean for the White House gave an example of how monthly payments would shrink under the proposed changes. So those changes that I was talking about, where instead of your income driven repayment monthly payments being 10 to 15% of your discretionary income, they would shrink down to 5%. What does that really mean, right? So I want to get this right, so I'm gonna read it. They said a typical single public school teacher with an undergraduate degree making $44,000 a year would pay only $56 a month on their loans, compared to the $197 they pay now under the most recent income-driven repayment plan. This would add up to an annual savings of nearly $1,700. So just using that example, taking a typical single public school teacher with an undergraduate degree making $44,000 a year, you're looking at a change from a monthly bill of $197 that you used to have to pay to now, under this new proposed change, only being $56. So I think that's a big deal, right? When you think about monthly bills, you have your light bill, you have your water bill, you have your car note, your car insurance. And then, on top of all of those things that you have to pay, health insurance, you have student loans. For somebody that's making $44,000 a year to say now that bill is not over $100, almost $200, that bill is $56 on a monthly basis. I know when you think about your bills on a monthly basis, that can really add a lot of relief for someone. So I think that is a good thing. Vivian said, I'm listening out for my son. If you're married, does the spouse income count of that $125,000? If you're married, it's $250,000 if you file jointly. So if your son is married and he files jointly, it's $250,000. So the $125,000 was for single people. So it just depends on if they file married, file jointly, or if he files married, has a head of household, then it's $250,000, not $125,000. So, hopefully he qualifies. I hope he does. So yeah, the biggest takeaway for me today, honestly, y'all, is that I have until December 31st of 2020 to figure this all out. I think they did the pause, not just for us, but also because it seems like they're still hashing some things out. They don't have the application form ready to go. I mean, you would think they made the announcement today that the debt is going to be the official announcement that the debt might be canceled for some people, but they don't have the application ready for you to do it. So I think that they really extended it to say, let's give ourselves a little bit more time to get our act together so that when the pause ends on December 31st, we are ready to move forward with everything that people need to do to either recalculate their monthly payments under the income driven repayment plan, or to, cancel some of the student loan debt, which might knock it out for some people. So I think they kind of were like, here's some details. Don't worry about it until December. In the meantime, we're back here working to make this make more sense. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a good day. We were anticipating them doing something. I'm really glad that they didn't let us down, and say, look, you're gonna have to start paying in September or October, and we're really not doing any cancellations right now. One thing that I did want to talk about is that a lot of people have been mentioning is the underlying issue, right? College is super expensive. Like, and some people are kind of frustrated, like, yeah, this kind of puts a band-aid on the problem. For some people, it may have been great, it may have knocked out their student loans. But for other people, didn't put a dent in it. And what about your kids that are now, getting ready to go to college? Since 1980, the cost of public and private schools. So some people say, oh, private school is so expensive, but public school is better. But since 1980, the cost of a private college education and public college education has increased, has tripled since 1980, which honestly is not that long ago, has tripled. So, you're looking at situations where people can't afford to send their kids to college, and the college tuition just keeps rising and rising and rising. And I'm not even going to get into that salaries coming out of college with an undergraduate degree, a bachelor's degree, the salaries are not commensurate with the amount of money that people are putting into education. Whereas before you get a college degree, you can make a pretty good living. That's not always the case depending on what industry you're in, what major you have. So I agree with a lot of people. They say the problem that they really need to address is almost like the predatory nature of education in this country, that it costs so much money, and people are kind of pushed to go to college, and then they sign up for these student loans, and they come out not making a salary that allows them to comfortably pay those loans back. So I definitely think that's one of the problems. I mean, even with Pell Grants used to pay about 80% for the people that qualified to get them, about 80% of college tuition. Now a Pell Grant will only cover about a third of college tuition. So even for very low income families who are able to get Pell Grants, the Pell Grant is not covering as much of the tuition. So then those students are still forced to go out and take loans out that they may not be able to afford to pay back when they come out of school. Responsible Me said Department of Education website will get a visit from me several times a day until I get that application. Absolutely. I say stay on top of it, because you know how I feel about money. I'm not giving away $10,000 I qualify for because I didn't put the form in on time or whatever. And I would guess that they probably are going to have some type of ramifications about when you need to submit certain things. So for real, stay on top of it because it's important. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to get on here and give you guys an update. I know last time we spoke about student loans, we were anticipating the pause possibly ending on August 31st. We learned today that that's not going to happen. So it's a good day. Shalom J said, I asked for a full refund on all payments made from the start of COVID today. By law, your servicer will do that. Okay, that's really, I did not know that. So she is saying, for anybody listening, she's saying that she asked for a full refund on all payments made from the start of COVID. And by law, your servicer will do that. Hey, no matter what servicer you have, I'm not sure what servicer you had. Um, so she's getting a $14,000 refund, I'm guessing, from the Department of Education. So that's important information. And that's why I love to have these lives, because we all learn. I mean, I'm learning with y'all. I'm looking at articles. I'm doing things on my end. We all have different servicers, but a lot of us are all in this boat together. She said only on federal loans. So yeah, look into that. If you've been making payments since the beginning of COVID till today, call your servicer. Any information that I get, I'm like, okay, I didn't know that. Let me call Nelnet and find out what I can do. Find out if that applies to me. All you need to do is ask. It could be a yes, it could be a no, but you get information on here by talking to other people. Sugarcane asked Shalom, she's asking you this. Did you have to consolidate your loans first beforehand? So maybe you can answer that question in the comments, and I will definitely put it up here. 100% true. Look into it. So Sugarcane had asked you, Shalom Jay, if you had to consolidate your loan. So if you mind giving information, I'm all about sharing information because that's how we learn. I mean, y'all, the goal is to get whatever money the government is trying to give us. Honestly, like whatever benefits we can get, let's go ahead and get them. So share information on here. But I think overall, just to recap, I don't want to be on here too long. I definitely appreciate y'all coming on here and talking with me and interacting. December 31st. So no matter what's going on, if you have federal student loans and you just want to put your head in the sand, although I don't think you should do that. I think you should find out all the information that you can now. But at least you have a little bit of reprieve until December 31st to figure out what to do. Autumn Beauty said, I only have one more year. I'm taking full advantage of the no payments until December 2022. Me too. I am on the income driven repayment plan. I graduated law school in 2011. So I've been paying on these loans. I mean, I was in deferment for a while when I wasn't working in the beginning. And now, I've been paying on these loans for a long time. I mean, I've had times where my student loan payment was a mortgage. I'm talking $1,200 a month. So, you're looking at people who are really paying exorbitant amounts in student loans. And I mean, I still, by the grace of God, have been able to, buy a house and do certain things like that. But it's a big burden, like a truly big burden. But yes, Autumn Beauty, congratulations to you. One more year, you're almost out of here. And for those of you who have not checked out our, Larita does a lot of videos on public service loan forgiveness, the PSLF program. There's been a lot of developments with that. So if you haven't checked out our channel, if this is your first time joining us and you are a public servant, you work in the public sector, make sure you go back and check out our student loan playlist because Larita works for the government and she is really knowledgeable about the PSLF program and that we're getting loan forgiveness through that route. So if you're doing a public service job and you don't know about that or you need more information about that, make sure you check out her videos. Sharon said it will help that 2023 is leading up to presidential election. Definitely will help because I think that is truly driving some of this stuff that people know. A big portion of voters have student loans. The people who go out to the polls, they have student loans. So these are the things that are important to us. And they need to do right. Like they need to do right. And, generally we won't get into too much of the economy and all that. But if people get their student loans forgiven, they'll put the money that they were spending on student loans back into our economy. And I can't see how that can be beneficial for the economy overall. People have more money, more disposable income. They're going to buy more things. They're going to, shop. They're going to buy houses, property. All of these things help our economy. R. Willis said, good news for both the pause and the forgiveness. Definitely. All good news. I think today was a good day. I am excited to see what comes next. I hope the application process is simple and it really gives people the opportunity to take advantage of the cancellation without too much red tape. You know how that can be. But we will keep you updated. Thanks again for joining me for this live. And like I said, as new information comes out, I will do these lives and we will come on here and share information so we can make sure we all get whatever it is they're offering. Y'all take care and have a good rest of the night.